You are now listening to the Friends of Rugby podcast. Relax your anus. Balls. Thick thighs. Camille Shat. Where's his neck? Eddie Jones. You're fucked, mate. We're nice now.
2, 1, and we're recording. Hello, friends. You're listening to the Friends of Rugby.
Welcome. Bienvenue.
I'm with Frank. Frank, how you doing?
Better than last week.
Better than last week?
Emotionally, yeah.
Starting to cope. Reality setting in.
I think so. Yeah, you know when like things are so bad, you have this like sort of clarity and sense of freedom. You're like, it doesn't matter. Like, so it gives you like an unbiased
Sounds
perspective.
like you've given up.
a little bit, but it does make you more objective, doesn't it? When you just like, fuck it, like, you know.
We're obviously talking about Wales and Welsh rugby.
No, I was talking about my marriage. Jesus.
Oh, Jesus, getting deep. We can go into that if you want.
No, not today.
Little bit of story, little sidetrack story. So everyone's been telling me, hey, Steve, you should get a Blue Sky account for your podcast.
No, I told you that.
Yeah, other people have too.
Oh, they have? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, everyone's
All
like,
right,
okay, get on Blue Sky, get on Blue Sky. So I was like, okay, fuck it, right?
Yeah.
Because Twitter's turned into this fucking disaster zone.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, man, I got to get off this fucking app. It's like basically 4chan 2.0.
Yeah.
And so
Well, at least there were humans on 4chan.
Yeah.
It's not just robots. Isn't it?
So I decided, like, okay, I'm going to get this Blue Sky account for the podcast. I sign up. It was super easy.
Yeah.
This is sponsored by. Added some photos, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what any sensible person that starts a page. I typed in rugby in the search thing.
Yeah.
And so anyone that had a profile or any kind of profile associated with rugby, I just started following.
Okay.
I was like, follow.
Just get me in that echo chamber.
Yeah, basically, right? So I'm just starting to follow, right? There's one thing about Blue Sky that I didn't know. There is a ton of gay people on Blue Sky.
Okay.
Right? So as I'm following these people, I'm not looking at anything. Right? I'm just like, oh, right? And I don't care. I don't care about that kind of stuff anyways, right? Like whatever, right?
Yeah.
The thing is though, is that like when you go through our feed, it's just like it's like gay rugby bear, shirtless gay rugby bear, rugby news, gay rugby bear.
I gotta get that algorithm. That sounds fun.
That is basically our news feed. So we are the only gay
the only gays in the village and on Blue Sky Village.
We're the only gay rugby podcast. The official.
Yeah, there's a niche.
So there's like that is a niche.
It is a thing. Like there's a lot of like
we're gonna embrace that.
There's a lot of like teams that are friendly or exclusively gay guys playing, right? And there's like it's become a thing on social media. There's this team in Wales, I think it's the Cardiff Lions. They're not like only gay guys, but they're like they're explicitly welcoming, right?
I follow a gay rugby team on Instagram.
Yeah.
Gotham. I think it's called Gotham Rugby. They're from New York.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Gotham, like Batman gay guys. Yeah, I like that.
And they're just gay and playing rugby.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
Yeah, there's a few of them, but but now since we are the official, I just wanted to make that statement. We're the official gay rugby podcast.
Love it. You know what? And you know what? I know this is a stereotype and it's positive prejudice. A lot of gay guys I know in really good shape. They could play fucking rugby,
Yeah. Well, you should see the size of these guys. If you want to see some big, barely gay rugby players, just go through our feed. Yeah. Just scroll down because I followed all of them.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So there's a gay rugby bear.
Yeah.
We're following.
Nice.
The Friends of Rugby podcast is following you now.
I like that name, the Gotham whatever, but someone is missing a trick already. Just the whatever bears, and you're just like a team of gay bears.
It is.
And then it'd be like the otters.
100% there's a gay rugby team called the Bears.
What are otters in the gay community?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, never mind.
There's a lot of slang. I don't know.
Nah, me too. But you could have the bears are the forwards and the twinks are the backs. The bears and twinks. The slippery eel backline. I love it.
Another like gay term was U-hauling. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's because you know how I was making fun of a friend because the stereotype that like lesbians like they fall in love right away and they move in with each other and then they break up like 3 months later.
I didn't know that, but okay, yeah.
So this girl is I'm making a joke about that, and she's like, "Yeah, it's called U-hauling."
Like your entire life moves immediately.
Yeah, I was just like, "What? There's a term for it."
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, it's called U-hauling."
It must be hard though, eh? Like, because if you're trying to find someone and it's hard enough to, be public about your sexuality, and then you finally find another lesbian, and like, I've been searching for you for 10 years, we immediately need to move in together. And then you're doing like, oh fuck, they're a dickhead.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Hard enough finding people.
But anyways, that was my sidetracked.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Good start. Yeah, I like that.
A good start.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about some rugby?
No, not
because
today.
we had some rugby.
Go on then. Where do you
want to start?
Chronologically.
You want to start with France, Argentina?
I would love to start with France, Argentina. Yeah. What do you think? Good game?
I'm going to say that France are probably right now in the Northern Hemisphere the most settled, put together team.
Yeah. I think if they could, like, they've had a bit of bad luck with Entomac, because I think if they've got Entomac, that's like the perfect Northern Hemisphere rugby team, isn't it? I mean, Ramos is doing an okay job at 10, but
he looked great.
He actually does, doesn't he?
He looked like
he looks
was
fine.
in
He looks
place
comfortable.
there.
Yeah.
It didn't miss him.
No.
Now there's the rumors about the old Jolly Bear.
Oh yeah.
Jolly Bear, like they didn't like Dupont didn't want to play with him, or he didn't want to like play because I should have looked into this before.
No, it's funnier if you don't.
But
speculate wildly.
It just, when you're watching that team, they're just the most. They look super settled.
They do.
They know what they're doing on the field.
Yeah.
Their system, looks good.
Yeah. It's a hell of a coaching setup as well, because their attack is always good.
Yep.
And since Sean Edwards came in, they're ferocious defensively. That old stereotype where like they'll bring their flair, but they'll collapse or they'll get hammered because their defense isn't up to it, or they're lazy or unfit. It's not true anymore, is it? Like, they've got a serious setup.
And I wouldn't say that Argentina looked bad in this game.
No.
They looked pretty good. It was just that France just had an edge on everything.
They did. They're just slightly better at everything, aren't they? And Argentina aren't a one-trick pony anymore.
No.
Right? They're physical. They've got an excellent backline. They can do everything. They're just not as good at it as France.
France just have this, their defensive pressure.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's classic Sean Edwards. Yeah, it's exactly what he does. You just smother them. He turned defense into a weapon. He made players want to defend, right? It wasn't something you have to do when you don't have the ball. It's something you want to do to get the ball back, right? It's just, your pure physical domination, right? He was the guy who kind of pioneered that in rugby.
My fear for France is they're still getting their investment, their pre-World Cup investment, is still paying dividends to them.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of an effort they're still putting into that. So we might be in a good era where France are going to be really good for maybe the next 3 to 5 years. I'm just wondering if that's going to drop off, because I don't know if they're spending the same amount of money, putting the same amount of effort into developing their youth like they were pre-World Cup. Because they were building, they were heavily putting money into their youth rugby to develop players.
They still are. I think the thing is, though, they're still doing all of that, but you're not going to make a Antoine Dupont every couple of years, are you? There's a guy who started playing from now, Louis Biel-Biari, and he is a good sign that these things are still happening, right? And you look at their under-20s. Their under-20s are incredible. So they're still investing in their youth setup.
Every nation, every rugby nation, when you have that once in a generational talent, is so lucky.
Oh yeah,
because France has Dupont.
Yeah, Scotland
has Fynn Russell. Well, even Sione Tuipulotu is going to be looks like they kind of found another golden. Who's it for England?
That's a good question, and you might say Mark Smith. I do think he's that good now.
But is he a once in a generational talent?
No, he's really, really good. He's not he's not as good as he could be. I don't think we'll be talking about him in 40 years in the same way we'll be talking about Antoine Dupont.
Yeah, if you look, who's it for Ireland?
It was Sexton, right?
I guess it was Sexton.
Yeah, it was Sexton.
But he's gone now.
I think Tyke Byrne will be talked about in
Oh, Tyburn is a good call.
But he's a bit like Justin Tipuric for me, where like he doesn't get the respect he deserves because he really is that good.
No way. He's in every single, like, anytime anyone picks a World 15, he's in there.
He is? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Good. He should be.
Rarely see, the only reason why he's not in there is maybe the person's like a Southern Hemisphere person and they don't really know, they don't really follow the Northern Hemisphere rugby that much. So they won't see him because he isn't like a famous player.
But that's what I mean. He's not a poster child, is he? Like DuPont is, you put him on a poster, and that's the thing. Backs get to be that a lot more than forwards do, right? But no, I was thinking this the other day. I was thinking to make a good rugby team, you almost need like an A team in the squad. Like if you imagine every team at its like zenith will have first you have your X factor player, which is someone like DuPont. Then you must have like a leader figure who's also good at rugby. In right now, it's Caelan Doris for Ireland. Like he's a leader and he's fucking good. Or it's someone like Aldrit for France. And then you've got to have like your hard bastard. For Ireland, I'm thinking that someone like Porter. He's just solid, angry, physical. It's Etzebeth for South Africa. And then you've also got to have your kind of unsung hero, and that's kind of like Tyburn, right? Like he'll rip the ball off the other player when the momentum goes against you. And if you've kind of got those like 4 elements, earth, fire, air, and water, like you've got a pretty fucking good... And there's a few teams right now that have that. And Ireland have that, France have that. And I don't think they'll ever stop having that. It's just whether they can have that, like you said, the X factor player frequently. And France are lucky because they've literally got the best player in the world right now. I don't think Ireland have. They've definitely got players who are the best in the world in their position, but they're not someone like Adi Savea who is like you pick them immediately. You know,
or you pick DuPont. Or
you
pick.
You make room for those guys in a team, right?
Yeah, that is a good point. Who do you think it is for Wales?
No, we haven't got any of those. I mean, we've got our leader who's very good, and it's Jack Morgan. Yeah, Jesus. Louis Rees-Zammit, our X Factor's gone. He's the other guy's gone. Yeah, but no, they all retired.
There's your once in a generational talent stolen from the English.
I know it's hilarious, but I think we do have some of those pieces, like Jack Morgan and Dewi Lake. I do feel bad for them because they're fucking incredible guys.
Some English nobleman rode up on his horse to Wales.
Yeah.
Hello?
We'll have that
Give me the Waboso.
Fetch the Waboso.
His parents like, no. They're like holding him. And they take him.
I always get the firstborn and then rides off twirling his mustache.
Throws him on the back of the horse and just rides away. He's stolen.
And they see him 20 years later.
Once in a generation.
Mother, is that you, father?
Man, South Africa, I think, has a few.
They've got everything. Yeah.
Etzebeth.
Yeah.
Willie LaRue.
Wait till Willie gets You'll be sorry you crossed us when Willie gets back. For me, Quagga Smith is like that guy as well. He's the unsung hero.
Oxen Nitch.
Yeah. He's your hard bastard, right? I mean, Etzebeth's also your hard bastard. They've got like a melange, a mix of all these kind of guys, right?
Jasper Weiss.
Cheslin Colby, how can you forget that guy as well? That guy, he's your fucking X Factor guy, isn't he? Yeah, he's your kind of almost best player in the world kind of category.
Even their other winger,
Arense, yeah. He actually was better than Colby when they played against Wales. I thought he was a little bit better.
Yeah, but just finish up the comments on this.
Sorry, France-Argentina.
On the France-Argentina game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was basically when I was watching the game. It was just a.
It's what you expected, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't what I expected.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
No, I thought Argentina would come out a lot harder. And they just couldn't. Everything, it felt like France just had an answer for everything. It felt like the game was over with, at halftime. Yeah,
I mean, but like you said, I don't think Argentina were bad. I just don't think Argentina can play when they do their thing once or twice a year when they beat someone very good. They just can't do that every game. They just don't have the depth. They don't have a professional team. So to stay that close to France, who beat the All Blacks the other day, I think that's respectable, you know? Yeah, they'd want to win that game and they expect to win that game, but they can't do that every week. They don't have the depth. They don't even have a professional fucking club team. So, this is good.
I was expecting a lot closer game.
No, France are that good right now, I think.
Yeah, I think we were talking about earlier, right now, I think going into the next, into this cycle, until the next World Cup, I think France, Ireland, South Africa, and New Zealand.
They're the guys.
They're the 4 guys.
They're the guys, yeah. And the thing is, it's not about these peaks and troughs that teams go through. We are now really entering professionalism in rugby where a team is always going to be good because of depth and resources, right? And in it's South Africa, Ireland, France, New Zealand, because their systems are as good as the teams they put out, you know? Whereas a team like England, it's frustrating because they have the ability to be that. They've got the resources to be that. They just haven't figured out their youth pathways properly, and they haven't figured out a good way to get a coaching team to regularly pick the best team. The ingredients are there, but the cook is a bit off, right? Mm-hmm. So and then Scotland and Wales, we're still in the peaks and troughs days, you know? We'll have peaks and troughs. We haven't got the setup and the resources to be that. We could, but it's not going to be for a while yet.
Just looking at the games that happened over this weekend, USA took another scalp here.
Was it Tonga?
They beat Spain.
Oh, they beat Spain. Okay, sorry, not Tonga. Yeah.
A little bit of a step up. They're having a very successful little tier 2. Taking a bunch of scalps.
I think they got the Grand Slam. Can I pause for? I don't like this. Since this year is the first I've heard about this, and maybe it's been a thing for a while, but the Southern Hemisphere teams have started saying when they beat every team in their autumn series, they're calling it a Grand Slam. Get your filthy hands. Get that word out of your filthy mouths. That's our Six Nations word. You can't have it. Fuck off.
We got a Grand
Make
Slam.
a new fucking word for it, all right? Call it whatever you want. You know, let's call it a Grand Slam.
That's the European punditry, using that term.
If they are, they're fucking traitors. Stop using it.
I don't think anyone from the Southern Hemisphere is using Grand Slam.
I don't know about that.
But you see the announcers in the game today with Scotland,
Australia.
Those announcers who are they're from the UK.
Right.
Used that Grand Slam term 9 times.
I hate it. Stop cheapening the Six Nations. Stop cheapening the pinnacle of rugby, okay?
The pinnacle. It is the
pinnacle of rugby.
It is the pinnacle.
Say what you want. It is the pinnacle. It's better than the World Cup. It is.
Oh, no.
No, it is. It is.
No.
The World Cup actually shows us who's the best.
Yes.
And it actually is the best. But the feeling and the joy I get from the Six Nations is much better than the World Cup. Genuinely.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
There's nothing gets me hyped up more than the World Cup. I love the Six Nations.
Yeah.
Rugby Christmas.
Yeah.
I love it. I just like getting up in the morning, make breakfast, having friends come over, watch the games. That's great.
And that's sad because I like those things. You will never know the simple pleasure of being shit-faced at 3 p.m. in the pub watching the Six Nations.
No.
Surrounded by 100 Welshmen. It's incredible.
Yeah, it would be.
If you could give me a choice, World Cup or Six Nations, you get rid of one. I get rid of the World Cup every time without hesitation. Every time. And don't get me wrong, I love the World Cup. But the Six Nations is special, so stop fucking saying Grand Slam. You're not allowed to say it, okay? If you're a Sanzar team.
Fiji. Ireland beat Fiji 52-17. Statement win.
Yeah, statement win.
What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are... but we both knew Ireland win. I'm a bit disappointed. Actually, I'm not disappointed in Fiji because I still think they're on the right track, still doing the right things. They played a bit and their discipline let them down again, which, it's getting better, but it's annoying that their discipline puts them in that situation. And the structure is there. It's almost like they're learning to play with a structure, right? So I think the future is still good for Fiji. I'm not worried about it. I just think this was a good way to test themselves against real quality opposition. And they did test and they'll learn, but, Ireland put out a lot of a lot of young guys, and that was good for them. But I didn't really see a weakness in Ireland's game there. This was almost how they should have played the last 2 weeks.
I really wish that they would be playing New Zealand next week.
Yeah, that'd be a good game.
I really wish the New Zealand game wasn't the first game.
I wish we could repeat the quarterfinal games of, when South Africa played Ireland, France played New Zealand, and both Ireland and France won in the last World Cup's group stages. I wish we could switch those games. So I would love to see right now France, South Africa, and Ireland, New Zealand next weekend. I would love to see that. It's not going to happen, but that would be like here's the big boys, right?
Yeah, I really wish that wasn't the first game because this was first of all, my thoughts on Fiji is I don't think the players are there.
Yeah, they are.
So the talent and the players are there.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're just a mashed up team. It's almost like a barbarian squad to me.
It is.
They just mash them together, throw up. They don't have that whole coaching system set up to prepare them to be a cohesive team.
Yes.
They're just kind of they're all playing individual rugby.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault.
No. And they're all very talented. And you want them to play to their strengths, which is almost like a 7 style, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. And that's what I saw. It's I could see them trying to actually put structure into their game for the first time, probably ever. In my history of watching Fiji, this autumn is the first time I've seen them use the 9 and 10 to control the pace of the game and do it effectively, but they're still learning. And
it's just like it's a budget and timing thing.
Yeah,
like the coaches do not have enough time. With the Fijian players.
Yeah,
I don't know how effective. I don't know like how good the coaching team is.
It's hard to say, isn't it?
How big it is.
Yeah,
like their staff is nowhere near as big as these other nations they're coming up.
Oh, not even close. No, not even. Right? We just don't have the money, do
we?
We
can afford to take 6 staff. That's including the coaches. So you guys got to choose wisely.
Well, it's better than Canada where they've got one guy.
Yeah. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing I think keeping Fiji from just being world beaters
or being equivalent to Argentina.
Or equivalent to the All Blacks, I think. Like they have top. Like when you see these players in their leagues,
they're the top.
They're the top guys.
Yeah.
Like, especially all the guys playing in the top 14.
Yeah.
Right. These are the top players in the league.
Yeah.
Right. So the talent is there.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's just like you can't make a winning team just mashing them all together and throwing them out in the field.
No, but
let's see how it goes.
But that's always been the way it is for them. They've always produced incredible talent, right? But what I want to say is like 52-17 looks bad, but I think if I was Fijian and I look back at this year, they're definitely going in the right direction. Everything's fallen into place. It's just going to take time, but they're doing the right things. They're doing the right things.
I think having the Fijian Drua, in the Super Rugby, and having a lot of those players play together, that is clearly
paying dividends, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. 100%.
Like they almost like they should have beat Wales in the World Cup, and you can make an argument.
No, you're right. Actually, it was a one knock-on away from a win. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and they should have beaten England.
Yeah,
in the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Like you would never thought of that, like even 5 years ago.
No, exactly.
If Fiji would have showed up and you're like, "Oh, this is a win."
Yeah.
We're gonna win.
Yeah.
Right. So you get to see that. Yeah, you can see how much the Fijian Drua is paying off for them.
Everything below the top 4, those 4 teams we talked about, there's a lot of movement and bubbling and shifting, isn't there? And that might just be that everyone's getting better. But I do think there's some teams like Fiji and Argentina who are coming to take the places of teams like Wales, Italy, Scotland. You know, it's like in terms of the world rankings, and it'll be fluid, but there's a bit more of a new order emerging, right? Which is a good thing for rugby, actually. Sad as it is.
Because now you don't 100% Argentina. When Argentina come to town to play anyone, they can win.
Yeah, I remember 10 years ago,
even going to New Zealand now.
Yeah, they win
anywhere.
Won
twice in New Zealand.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. They could have, like you said. So I know that France-Argentina thing is disappointing for them. But had they not been at the end of a 4-game thing, I thought they could probably win that, They've got a chance.
Now, the big thing about this game, too, this Ireland-Fijian game, when I was watching this game, it was kind of like looking into the future of the Irish team because they started a bunch of new kids in this game.
Finally, eh?
Yeah. I've heard, like I said, like Jim Hamilton said not too long ago when he was looking at the whole setup.
Yeah.
Like Ireland are going to be good for the next 10 years.
Yeah. Well, they'll be good
when I
forever
saw some of these players playing in the step up, I was like, this team is going to be really good for the next 10 years.
As long as teams like France and Ireland keep the systems they've got, there's no reason why they'll ever be bad again. They won't have a Wales total collapse like we're experiencing right now because their system is kind of waterproof, right? It's watertight, you might say.
They've got some competitions now for some positions.
And they badly needed that.
Especially at hooker now, this Gus McCarthy kid that came on and played yesterday, he was awesome.
And that's the thing. It's almost like they needed some injuries for this to happen. They needed Dan Sheehan. It's horrible to say, but it's a good thing for Ireland that Dan Sheehan is out for a little time.
Blessing
because they had to find some.
Now they need Andrew Porter.
They've accidentally found some depth, right?
Yeah, they need Andrew Porter and Keane Healy to fucking get injured or something for a while. Hopefully in the Six Nations to find their the new guy.
Having a bit of depth at 10 finally is good because Frawley, honestly, he's had his chance and he hasn't had the best autumn. And weirdly, Jack Crowley's getting heat. I'm like, why? He's still good. But everyone's like, move over, Jack Crowley. It's like Prendergast has 2 fucking caps.
He did make a pretty statement. Yeah, pretty big statement. I thought personally,
He's good. Yeah.
When they played Fiji, he has all the attributes that Andy Farrell loves in a 10.
He does. And I was going to say something else as well. people seem to think that the only reason he was playing him is because this is the game they can afford to lose, and this is the game to blood some new players. But I think this game actually suited Prendergast. You're going up against massive, fast
It was a big
Fijians.
test.
He's a big guy. He's big and he's fast and he's physical. He's your perfect 10 for this game, actually. He suits this game. So it was a good game to have him in.
Yeah, I don't know what. There's a lot of talk. Oh, he's small. He's too
he's
small.
like
I think I
6
even said that in
He's
the
bigger.
past,
He
too.
looks bigger than
You
Crowley
look
to
at him,
me.
I was like, this guy's a pretty decent sized human being.
He is. He's a big guy, and he's rangy because he's not put on the bulky will.
It was also nice to see an Irish 10, take some risks.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of just being rigid with the
Like
game plan.
he'll do some he was doing some kind of Fynn Russell type shit out there.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as talented, but
Takes it to the line though, doesn't he?
he does take it to the line hard.
Yeah.
He's good at he's just good in a lot of places.
No, I like him. Yeah.
And then what was I gonna say here? I forgot. Oh, Bundy Aki.
Yeah.
He's gonna be missed.
Is he going anywhere?
Well, he's like fucking 35 years old. And he's rumored to leave. He's leaving the URC. I'm pretty sure he's going to leave the URC. And there's lots of rumors.
Where's he going?
Top 14. 14 want him bad.
Just make some retirement money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would, if I was him,
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
100%
Yeah.
do that.
I don't think he's on bad money, but yeah, you could make more money in France, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you they'd pay him double.
Yeah.
Well, he's on a contract. Like, he's on a
He's on
national contract,
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
So he's still making really good money.
I think so. Yeah.
But that's a player because he was fucking hard as fuck in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might be the best defensive center in the world.
I would agree.
Yeah.
It's not very often you see someone get past him.
Yeah, he's exactly the guy you want playing against Fiji because like you need someone in the back line who's making a physical impact, don't you?
Yeah. The sad thing about this game too is Jamie Osborne started at fullback.
Yeah.
And he was right off the cuff, he was lighting it up.
Yeah.
And then he took an abdominal injury, I think, at like 27 minutes in or something like that. And then they brought Frawley in, who played really well too.
I heard he didn't play that well. I didn't see it. I thought he was fine.
Kieran Frawley, I thought he played great.
Oh, okay. I've heard Irish pundits say he didn't have a good game and he hasn't had several good games. I mean, I've just
last
last
time he came on, he I think it was against New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a bit of a rough game then.
He had a
couple
rough
of drop
game.
balls, yeah. But the other thing I want to talk about, do you watch the Prendergast shoulder to the head?
No, I didn't see it.
Fine. That's okay. Like I don't want to make a fucking mountain out of a molehill here. I think I watched it and I thought that looks pretty malicious. That's probably a red. And if you disagree, that's fine. But again, I feel like the consistency of refing, because like the Karevi one and the Randrander one in the Wales game, I think I've seen a few racisms. I think I've seen a few racisms.
I see some rugby racism.
I mean, I'm joking, like, but the point is there's been some wild inconsistencies even now about the red. I thought we had this fucking down. Like, if he gets a yellow for that, and some of the reds I've seen is bullshit, you know? Like, the consistency is mental.
I think my personal opinion on the reffing inconsistencies that we have, and it's talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Right? It's like after every game, there's some sort of reffing, like some kind of debacle going on. This is rugby.
It is rugby.
That's what I like when I'm seeing all these controversies. I'm like, this is rugby.
Yeah.
The game is so dynamic. There's a bazillion rules.
Yeah.
There's no game. There's no professional game like this.
Yeah.
As complicated as rugby, as dynamic as rugby, hands down. Name me one sport.
No, there isn't one.
There isn't.
Yeah.
Right? And this is rugby.
Yeah.
The players aren't perfect.
Yeah.
The fans aren't perfect. The refs aren't perfect. And that's like the beauty.
It's fun to talk about.
Yeah. And every time you go into a rugby match, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I love that unpredictability of how the game is going to go because of the ref, because of the teams.
Yeah.
Like that just makes it more exciting.
I agree with everything you've said. I think there's two things I would like to see improved though. I never want to see a ref decide a result, and I think we saw that when England played New Zealand in New Zealand over the summer. I think the ref he helped New Zealand win that game.
A big controversial one too was, I think, a couple years back when Australia was playing New Zealand for the Bledisloe.
Yeah.
And they had that kick, the time that he was supposed to do a kick, and then the ref timed him out.
Oh, yeah.
And then gave the ball to New Zealand. They scored a try and won.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was a big call.
So that's the thing I'm saying. So the first thing is I never want to see a ref decide a game, which I think we see less of overall, and I never want to see safety not being prioritized. And I think when you see a direct contact to the head, and you have to be consistent there. Everything else I totally agree with, though. Yeah, it's the ref is orchestrating a game. He's not necessarily administering rule law, because it's fucking impossible. When we were watching Australia bang away at Scotland's try line, just in the game we just watched today, and we had that real close-up angle of the try line defense by Scotland, and every single fucking guy is putting his hands here and there, untying shoelaces, combing each other's hair. You know, like there's nothing but nonsense going on. You know, it's impossible to ref.
Mm-hmm. I think it's yeah, I agree with you. And I think as the safety is becoming more and more part of the game, the game's becoming more and more complicated.
Yes.
To ref, because there's just so many more calls now.
Yeah.
There's so many more things for like one ref to look for.
Yeah, there are. I think have two refs on the field, and one is more responsible. Like one has the final say on scrums, the other one has final say on breakdowns. Have two refs on the field. They got
like 3 guys on cameras watching the game.
But the thing is, it's hard for the ref to. It's like having a child in your ear. It's like you're trying to cook dinner and the little child's like, hey, can you look at this? Can you look at this drawing I did? It's like, fucking give me a second, right? You need to take the pressure off the ref on the field by putting another ref on the field who can also make quick decisions.
Or having the ref and the TMO call different things.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Disperse the responsibility.
Take some responsibility off the main ref on the field.
Yes.
Right? There's some things he doesn't need to be looking for.
And that's why I love the bunker system, because all he's got to do is just, you guys deal with that. I've got the game to worry about.
Like, he's right there at the ruck.
Yeah.
You know, he can ref the ruck.
Yeah.
He's right there at the scrum.
Yeah.
He can ref the scrum.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's right there. Like, anywhere position where the ref is going to be there, that should be his responsibility.
Yes.
Everything in the wider channels.
You see something off the ball.
Yeah.
Like let the
TMO come and take that.
Yeah. And I think you got to have maybe another ref, like a secondary ref. They run around doing do they see a forward pass maybe? And I know that's what the touch judges do, but you need to be much closer to see these things happen maybe. I know that's going to annoy the fuck out of people, but
maybe maybe what they could do, instead of having another ref on the field, they could have 4 touch judges.
Something like that.
Like, you take this half, there's 2 judges on one side, and they both have a half, and the other guys have a half each.
Oh, yeah.
Now you have a guy, because a guy trying to run from one side of the field to the other, and just one guy.
And just getting in the way and being tired. Yeah.
Like, just have the touch judges, just have 2 more touch judges. Now you have more eyes. This guy's just in charge of this side, of this half of the field. That would be even a bigger thing too.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think ultimately though, just take some of the pressure off the ref. Let him do less things, but be responsible solely for some things, right?
Because this is only going to get worse. Because people don't understand, they're making the game so there are all these rules and stuff like that. Like, there's a mountain of lawsuits piling in the background against World Rugby, against rugby everywhere, from previous players, right?
Who are all going to be dead prematurely. It's sad.
Yeah,
it's sad.
Yeah, and a lot of fans don't know this. Yeah, the reason why are they doing this? Why because they're gonna get sued to shit
in a sport which is, let's be honest, fragile financially. It's only going to take a few million to knock one union off the podium forever, right?
100%.
So, yeah.
So they have to be proactive on this thing, because when these lawsuits really start hammering on them, they have to show, hey, we are doing something about this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand the financial threat that World Rugby is under because of these head injuries, because of all these, how unsafe the game, it is an unsafe game.
It is an unsafe game, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they want, they want a safe game for the players, right? In an already unsafe situation.
Yeah.
And also, for a fan like me, I want to see my favorite players play for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah.
I don't want to see, I don't want to see players like Sam Warburton have to retire early because he's taking too many shots from jackling the ball.
Yeah.
His neck is all fucked up.
Yeah,
and
his
shit
knees
like
are a mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, because these head injuries don't manifest until you're in your 50s. All of a sudden you've got dementia and you'll be dead in 10 years and you don't know that's happening, but you do know your knees and neck are totally fucked forever. What's going on in your brain, right?
Yeah, and now that they can the diagnosis for all these injuries and these long-term things are out in the open. People know about them now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Being proactive is what World Rugby should be doing. And it's a shitty situation, I guess, for everyone, right? Because you have to add all these rules, which fucks up the game, makes it more complicated for the ref, makes it more frustrating for the fans.
Yeah.
But it's necessary to protect these players.
Yeah.
And it's such a mess, too, because now you have to stay consistent because, accidents happen on the field. The game's fast, right?
It is.
So now there's do you just, fucking ban, do you just, hand out red cards for everyone that hits each other on the head? Shit happens.
Yeah.
Guys go low. One guy wasn't expecting. Shit happens, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a very complicated, shitty situation for, I think, everyone. There's no real win here, I think.
No.
There's no perfect rugby world.
No, I agree. It's never going to be perfect. I just want to. And this is the most cliched shit ever right now, but I do want just some consistency with it. I agree with all the head injury protocols and the way that they're carded for even accidental head contact, but fucking hell, just apply it consistently.
Even the speed of the changes of the rules too.
Yeah.
Right? They just keep cutting and adding stuff all the time.
Yeah.
It's hard for a ref to keep up with that, especially if you've been coaching, if you've been reffing for a long time.
Yeah.
You have your habits of things you're going to look for.
Yeah.
And they start throwing other shit in at you. You got to look for this, got to look for this, got to look. You have to build up those habits. It's a skill. Reffing's a skill. It's like a talent. It's like catching a ball, kicking a ball through the tee, tackling. Reffing is a skill. You have to have the skill to you have to know where to be. You have to know what to look for. You have to know where eyeballs need to be in certain plays.
Yeah.
Right? That's all comes from experience and skill. It's a talent.
It is a talent.
Right?
Yeah.
There's high jumpers, there's rugby players, there's golfers, there's referees. You can't just, not everyone can just ref.
No.
If I was a ref, I'd be the worst fucking ref in the world.
Oh, I'd hate it. Yeah.
I would lose focus so
Not only
much.
is it very difficult, but you make one mistake and you got thousands of people screaming at you and sending your family death threats. It's horrible. So I do feel bad for these refs because who the fuck would want to do that?
I hyper focus on things too, so I'd start focusing. There'd be someone in the crowd doing something. What's going on? And then something would happen in front of me. Oh shit,
died,
guys, I didn't see it. It's a skill.
Yeah,
it's a skill and experience. But anyways, back to Ireland.
A bit tangenty today, eh?
Whatever, we gotta fill it in here. Back to Ireland. Yeah, I honestly, what I've seen from these guys, what I've seen from this team, I'm calling right now, they're going to win the Six Nations this year.
Yeah, them or France.
I think they'll beat France.
Don't know. I think they're probably about even.
Unless England come out of nowhere and have the game of the year against them. It's turned into England is, how Scotland, they show up.
For England.
Just for England.
Yeah.
It's like England just show up to play Ireland.
Yeah.
They're let's get these fucking guys.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah,
It's like they hate Ireland the most or something like that. Fuck, we used to fucking own these. It's like the bully that used to beat up this kid, but now the kid beats him up all the time and he just wants that revenge.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I think there's always trends in the Six Nations. It's always reasonably easy to predict who the top two teams are going to be. Whoever wins it, the top two teams is going to be France and Ireland, right? It's hard to argue with that. We'll see.
I just see they are the two most completely put together teams.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see some everyone was concerned about the front row in Ireland. I'm starting to see some young talent come in. Some guys haven't I don't think Tom O'Toole is really the step up they need, but he still looks pretty good. Maybe a healthy Ollie Jaeger in the future.
He's had his chance.
If he ever stays healthy.
Yeah. I didn't think he was that good when he was playing there. We'll see. We'll see.
Disagree.
Yeah.
Next game of the list. Yeah. I wanted to talk about this game.
All right, let's get out of the way.
Wales, South Africa.
Yeah, actually, no, I'm not I'm not as
You're so numb.
You're
so fucking
a
numb.
little bit. I mean, what did you expect, this was
I was really, really hoping for a half. I was hoping for a half.
Where we'd look dominant or something.
Just in the game. I think they had a good 15 minutes.
I'm surprised by that. So if you... I know what you mean. Every sort of team, when they're comparable levels, they'll have a purple patch in a game, and it could be as long as a half, and it makes the game kind of nervy. I'm not... You're much more of an optimist than me, generally. But I'm really an evidence-based guy when it comes to rugby. I'm not a vibes guy. And to be honest, I'm not a great predictor of results. But you look at our squad, and that tells you everything you need to know before this game even happens. I only need to look at that team sheet to know that this is not going to be a competitive fixture. Like, we have, I think 5 of our 7 backs have less than 10 caps.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was...
And then Rio Dyer has the highest.
Yeah, 25.
Followed by... Who was the second high? And it was like the second highest cap back was 17. I can't remember who it was.
They said that during the game, and I was surprised that Rio Dyer had the most caps. And he's been a fringe player.
Exactly. He was a periphery winger until like a year ago.
Yeah.
You know? Like, and the rest of them have less than 10 caps. So like you can have these dreams of, oh, I want this, but you've only got to look at the backs to go, yeah, that's not going to happen. How could it happen? Right? And then you look at the forwards, and it's the same. It's almost the same. Like, several of those forwards have less than 10 or 20 caps.
Though the scrum, the Welsh did pretty decent against South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, Nicky Smith is vastly underrated. That guy is a fucking scrumming machine. Mm-hmm. And because Gareth Thomas withdrew from... We had 2 last-minute withdrawals from this squad as well. So not only were we already on the back foot...
Oh, who was that?
Gareth Thomas withdrew and Tom Rogers withdrew. And Tom Rogers has been one of our better wingers in the last couple of games. So I think it was with sickness or something. So, like, yeah, everything was stacked against us. Even the bad luck of injuries and sickness was stacked against us here. So, and I don't want to start talking about, oh, we played better than people expected. I would rather have lost this game 100-0, because what needs to happen right now is we need to like tear out the root of Welsh rugby and start again. And that starts with changing people on the board and in the management and stuff, you know? Like, we can't just pretend things are okay. We can't like put up a fucking semi-erect performance against South Africa and go, that'll do, you know? Our standards needs to go up.
Wales made 216 tackles.
Yeah, and I think Jack Morgan made most of them. You know, that guy's a warrior.
Yeah, South Africa only had to make 92 tackles.
Yeah, exactly. Tells you all you need to know. And they'd scored 2 tries within 20 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So
Jack Morgan made 28 tackles in this game.
Yeah, that guy is a machine.
Fuck, his shoulders must be
and he played well as well, actually. He played very well as well as his tackling stats. And I think there were some things we did well, and it came from the guys you would expect it to come from, you know? There's guys who, in a different setup and a different timeline, wouldn't be in this team. And that's kind of sad to say, because I've only got to look at the guys playing in England right now, and the guys who are young guys who have had to sign for like Hatbury or Gloucester or Exeter, and they have to sign, I promise if you guys develop me, I will play for England. And these are Welsh guys.
You just have no hope winning a game like when every single player on the box is better than their opposing player.
Except for Jack Morgan, yeah. And Dewi Lake, actually. I think Dewi Lake's probably the best hooker on the field.
I don't know about that.
No,
he's good, but he's not.
Imagine him in a better team, though. You know, that's the way I like to think about it. If you put our best players in a good team, suddenly people are talking about them like they're the best fucking players in the world, right? And I'm not just saying that for Wales. I mean that for everybody. You know, if Valentini was in the All Blacks, all of a sudden he's your Adi Surveyor, right? Like,
it was just. I was just like, I just couldn't see a player that was better than their opposing player.
Jack Morgan.
Maybe Jack Morgan.
Yeah,
he played out of his skin.
He did. And like, imagine doing that when you're losing. It's easy to do that when you're winning. Imagine doing that when you're losing, right? It's harder to do. So yeah, he's comfortably the best guy in his position.
I just can't even imagine how demoralizing it is to be on the Welsh team right now.
Yeah.
It just must fucking suck.
Yeah.
That whole week must have fucking sucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they knew.
Yeah.
There's no way they were like, the players are probably verbally like, at practice, yeah, we're going to take it to them. But
you have to
every
believe, right?
single fucking one of them knew we're getting cooked.
Yeah.
We're getting fucking roasted in this game.
And I think the good thing about the player group at the minute is Dewi Lake, in the post-game interview, he said that, right? Like, he's not being all fake positive. He's like, no, we know we're going through a hard time. We have to believe. It's not optional, right? And I love that, because you can't give up. And even Sia Khaleesi after the game, like the gentleman that he is, was just like, we've been there. The way you get through this is to keep fighting. The day you give up is the day you get worse, right?
Well, it wasn't that long ago when the Springboks would just lose every other game.
Yeah, they weren't quite as bad as us because they've got the better system and depth and everything, but they were in the same spot as us. And we were beating them at that time, right? We beat them regularly. We beat them like 3 or 4 times in a row.
Because my first introduction to rugby, when I first started watching rugby, like, South Africa was in a bad state.
Yeah.
And my initial thought was of them, because I really didn't know the history of them and stuff. I was like, oh, this is kind of like an up and down. They're just... Yeah. South Africa's kind of just like just a scrape by team.
Yeah,
like, I didn't know... like the dominance, the history of them.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm only watching the games, not really paying attention to the background of rugby. I'm just watching the games.
Yeah.
And when I watched South Africa play, they weren't really that good. They had some big guys, but it was just kind of like disjointed. They were just big dudes.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, you can't win rugby games with just big dudes because they're big.
Yeah.
Right? They had to be good too.
I mean, they won a World Cup doing that, so.
Yeah, they did.
But
right?
yeah, you didn't know that. Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I want to say as well about this game. Last week when we were talking about when we lost to Australia and I was like fucking tearing my hair out going, Gatland's got to go and everything. I still think I have some criticisms of Gatland, but I think I was really harsh about him. The problem is the WRU. Everyone knows this, but the problem is much more the WRU than Gatland. And then it even got me thinking, like, is Gatland that much of a problem? Because then people are going like, okay, who do you replace him with? And that's a good point. Like, who the fuck do you replace him with, you know?
I think I said this before, like Gatland is not the problem.
No.
Why they need to change is just to change
the vibes. Yeah. And I think that's what I realized in the cold light day.
The facts, as you'd like to go on.
Yeah,
right?
no, tell me facts.
Gatland's a good choice. Gatland would be a good coach. He can coach any nation.
Yeah.
And he's a good coach.
He is.
Right?
Yeah.
He has the resume.
Yeah.
He has like the references.
Yeah.
Like if you want to call his references.
Yeah.
Right? They're gonna love him.
Yeah, they are.
Right?
Yeah.
So I just think the change is needed for the vibes.
Yeah.
They need to bring in someone that's going to change, just a fresh start. It'll feel like a fresh start. Even if he's not better than Gatland.
Yeah.
That fresh start, that new, like that's more beneficial than anything.
It's like buying a new pair of rugby boots, right? You just feel like you're going to play better that day because you've got a shiny new pair of boots.
Yeah.
It's that we need that feeling in a coach. But like what I'm saying, I feel bad for all the criticisms, but you're totally right. It's not that he is a bad coach. It's just that right now, Wales needs someone to come in. Honestly, Joe Schmidt, I would have loved to have had Joe Schmidt. Like, he's exactly the guy we needed, you know?
But let's say he does stick this through, which he probably will.
Yeah,
knowing
there's a lot
finances,
of talk about that.
especially when you're reading that the Wales are like fucking lost like 7.5 million.
I mean, that's clickbait. Like, I could talk about that.
But like, I financially, I see him not leaving because he
can't
doesn't want
afford
to lose the paycheck.
Yeah.
Wales don't want to lose the money.
Yeah.
Right, to hire someone else. I'm assuming he's going to stay.
I think so.
Right?
I think he'll stay till the end of Six Nations.
Right?
Yeah.
I could be wrong. He could step down.
Yeah.
I don't think he will.
Yeah.
I don't think the Wales just looking at what I see. But how good would it feel if he stays and then they do turn into something good?
It'd be incredible.
It would feel so much, and he'd be able to like be like,
and he loves being that guy.
Yeah,
he loves looking at you, going, well, what did I fucking say? When he called, what did he say about England in the World Cup?
Oh, they already played their final.
Yeah, you already played the final, and everyone's like, "Shut up, Gatland!" And he was like, sat there at the end, going, "Well, look who was fucking right." And he did the same thing in the Lions tour 2013. He dropped Brian O'Driscoll, and Ireland lost its fucking mind, and then we absolutely smashed Australia. And he's like, "Well, look who was right," you know. So he loved. I mean, the thing is, though, in those times, he had the weapons and the resources to be right. And to be fair to him, he's being honest. He sat there going like, the media were just going, are you fucking going or staying? He's like, look, guys, like, you keep asking me that. I want to be here. I care about Welsh rugby. And I do believe that he cares about Welsh rugby. How could you not, right?
Because if you look at rugby changes really fast.
It does.
Like, look at Australia.
Look at Wales.
Yeah, look at Wales.
People forget we were beating South Africa 2 years ago. We beat everyone 2 years ago. It wasn't that long ago that we were winning like back-to-back Grand Slams and things, you know? 2 years ago, we were beating all the teams we've lost to this year, you know? Last year, we smashed Australia in the World Cup by a record margin. And that was when we were starting to plummet. So, like, you know, you are right. Like, there's a very short memory in this sport, and people will talk about the teams being like, these guys have been dominant for so long. It's like, no, it's been about 6 months, you know? But a calendar year without a win, that's a significant...
In 2019, you guys were in the quarterfinals.
Yeah. So...
And you almost won.
Semifinals.
The semifinals, yeah. You went to the semifinals and almost won.
Yeah, like a kick away, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I understand that, but the thing is, it's hard to see where that comes from in the Six Nations. So you look at the Six Nations coming up, right? We have the objectively youngest team there by a long stretch. The number of retirees, the guys who left the Wales squad, is incredible. Like, we lost, like, close to 1,000 caps of experience almost overnight. That's a big blow. And then you look at the other teams in the Six Nations now, like, can I see us beating Scotland in the Six Nations? No. Can I see us beating Ireland or France? No fucking way. I can see us playing hard against England, but still, we don't have the firepower to do it.
And if you play Italy, it's kind of up in the air.
And that's right. And then I look at Italy, New Zealand's result, and Italy, like, they looked okay. They're not a walkover anymore.
No.
Right? They're not a walkover anymore. So not only is this a harder ask than it usually is, we actually have a way worse team than we've had in a long time.
That's what backs up your point where you're saying the WRU are at fault here.
Yes.
Because they lost all those caps.
Yeah.
There was no one to fill the void.
No, exactly. There was nothing going on behind the scenes to stop that, right?
Like, look what happened. Ireland lost a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
They lost Sexton.
Yeah.
And they already have like 3 guys.
And exactly, people are tearing their hair about who should get to play 10. I wish we were tearing our hair out. Like Sam Costello. Actually, Sam Costello played well for about 10 minutes, so you have to go for a head injury assessment. But he's it, right? He's fucking it.
Yeah, there's no debate on who's the best player for a certain position is in Wales. It's just like, this is what we have.
Yeah.
We have this guy that looks like he came out of a Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
This kid.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what we have.
We've
have
got fucking
Costello.
11-year-old Ron Weasley at 10, you know?
Hanscom can't play like 20 minutes or he gets injured. Like, it's just...
It interrupts his skincare routine, you know?
Yeah,
like,
so it's like, that's it. Like, that's
the problem. And that's the thing, you're right. Like, it's about pathways and development and funding the regions correctly, and we haven't done that for 10 years. And the thing is, I'm starting to read things about, things are going in the right direction now. It's too late. This is going to take us... I think it takes another 10 years to dig ourselves out with this. I think we'll be shit for a long time now.
Like, have you heard any kind of plan, emergency
plan? I have.
From the WRU of what they're going to do?
And they have. Yes, I have. And it's just too.
What are those?
So I'll tell you exactly, because I was reading about it just before we were. Well, I'll tell you what I know. So the WRU are going to take a stake in the regions. And whether you
I think is a good thing.
I mean, some people don't like it, but that's the problem. Welsh rugby are always arguing with each other. But I think it is a good thing, because if you want more funding from the WRU, they need more say in who gets selected and who gets to go to the national training squad and all.
Fucking tribal, fucking.
Oh, we're so tribal.
You guys are a bunch of dwarves.
Yeah, we are a bunch of fuck. So they're gonna invest more money in the regions. It's like a bit like, we'll do that. But just saying it is enough. Like, if that is the case, that's good. So it says budget increase for next year. 4 regions is definitely the plan. Whether you like that idea or not, just saying that out loud is important. Because imagine you play for the Ospreys, which is the region have been most threatened with being cut for so long. Imagine you're playing for them and you don't know if you're going to be playing for them next year. It's going to take something out of your game, right? But if you know we're going to exist next year, that's that comfortability to know you're going to have a contract and a job. That at least helps, right? There's going to be... a review into Gatland and the autumn to be delivered by the board on the 17th of December. And like, just saying these things, because we didn't used to say these things. We'd used to be like a day before the game issuing new contracts to players. That's why we nearly striked, right? Because the guys didn't even know if they had a fucking job after this game. At least by saying these things out loud, we go, yeah, we've got a plan, guys. You might not like it, but we needed a fucking plan. We made a plan. And giving more money to the regions is like the absolute bare minimum. And they're doing it. So I'm happy about that. So these things will change, but it's not going to happen overnight, right? And then there's that article in Rugby Pass which said like, record losses, like, but they actually increased their revenue by a lot of millions, so we're fine.
Yeah, I want something to happen really bad.
I think we're getting to the point as well where people have stopped hating Wales and started to feel sorry for us.
Yeah,
right, and like, that's bad. I'd rather you hated us.
You and I are going to the rugby championship finals.
Yeah.
In Cardiff.
Yeah,
we're talking earlier.
Yeah.
And when they were like, who do you want to see? But we both already know there's going to be no Welsh team there.
Not a chance.
Not even a fucking chance.
No, it's not. No, of course not.
I don't want that to be like that.
No. And I think, to be honest, like, Scottish and Welsh teams will always struggle because we don't have the money, resources, player base, etc. to compete. But in 10 years' time, when hopefully we're better, at least maybe we could. But it's not fucking this year, is it? It's not fucking next year. Glasgow could, but...
What's the difference? What do you think is the difference between Scotland and Wales? Like, why are their clubs having more success?
Well, because there's less of them. You can, if you have... How much money do we give to the regions? We give something like, I think it's 3.5 million the WR gives the regions. If you give Cardiff an extra 3.5 million a year, that automatically makes things better, doesn't it? Because you can sign better players. You can have more depth. We have 10 less players on average than every other URC team.
I feel like for Wales right now, for a short-term fix, to make them competitive again, why those... Because there's no doubt there's some kids playing in Wales right now.
Yeah.
There's some Welsh kids playing that are going to be the next stars. They haven't arrived yet.
Yeah.
but once they start really focusing on developing that youth program, I think right now the short-term fix is probably to have more of a mercenary feel.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Scotland did, yeah.
Who's got a fucking Welsh, like, great-grandparent?
Tame Plumtree.
Yeah. Blair
Murray.
Plumtree was born in Swansea.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was from New Zealand.
No.
You sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I looked it up because I was like, is that the Plumtree, like the coach? And I looked it up. Yeah, his dad was coaching in like
because his dad's a Kiwi, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was coaching in some club in Wales.
Probably Neath or something.
And that's where he was born.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Blair Murray's another example, you know, like he's just, you know, ancestry grounds. But and that's I don't want to be that guy, but like what Scotland have done with their overseas like poaching, it's worked for them, right? Because like how many of their guys are not born in Scotland? And like God bless Tuipulotu, that guy's a fucking monster, and he obviously loves playing.
They must
Scotland,
have like a crew of dudes that like just travel around the world, scouring for anyone that has any kind of like Scottish link.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, we could do that. We just don't have the money, right? Like, so if you condense your 4 clubs to 2 clubs, all of a sudden you free up several million to bring these guys over and pay them more money and say, if you stay, you can play for Wales, right? And we do that. We just can't do it as effectively as Scotland because we've got less money. Italy do exactly the same thing, right? And another thing, I think what is really depressing about this is we will always produce a lot of rugby players. We have so many amateur rugby clubs in Wales, right? We'll always produce a lot of rugby players. But the sad thing is when anyone's really talented, and you've only got to look at Gloucester and Exeter and these Southwest England clubs, how many of their guys on their books are Welsh guys, and they'll go to these clubs and they'll say, come to Hatbury College, we'll develop you, but you have to say you'll play for England youth level. And they sign. There's probably 5 or 6 guys who are Welsh. So we produce the talent. We just don't have anything that can catch them because we don't have the facilities to bring them into the academies of the region. And it's depressing,
The biggest eye-opener was Faye Woboso. Yeah. That was the biggest, for me, like the biggest eye-opener is like, whoa. Like to lose a talent like that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's not a one-off. It's happening. And the crazy thing is, he actually was developed by Cardiff, right? He didn't even go through the English system. There's several players right now going through the English system who will never play for Wales and could be our Sam Prendergasts, right? They could be these Irish guys. And we don't have this private school system to keep them in Wales. And people always talk about in Leinster, look at the setup they have for their academies is better than the setup that the regions have for their fucking first teams.
Well, let's talk about a country that actually takes rugby serious. Italy.
No, we should talk about South Africa in that game.
What? They're good.
Yeah, really good.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Their players are great.
Yeah.
They're going to fucking, like, you know, they're going to be the favorites for the next World Cup. Everything they're doing is right. There's always another new player coming in.
Yeah.
Like, what is there to, like, it's like almost like South Africa is almost kind of like the most boring team to talk about because
they're the new New Zealand. They just win everything.
They are kind of the new New Zealand.
Yeah.
That's a good point to make, actually. They're just, what is to talk about with them? Like, they're just the best.
Yeah.
They're the best.
They're the best.
They're the best.
Although
they can't beat Ireland, but they're the best. they struggle with Ireland, but, you know.
They do struggle, yeah. I mean, I thought they're trying out, is it Hendrickse at 10? He's not the one.
No, he's not the one. He's not the one. But it's still, look how good he is.
I know, that's the thing. It's like
look how fucking good
he is really good, and you find out he's not the one, but it doesn't matter because you've got 3 other guys who are the fucking one.
The crazy thing about him is he isn't the one.
Yeah.
He makes every other world squad.
Yep.
If he's in any other nation, he's the starting 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's not even the 10.
I know. He's no Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu.
Right?
Yeah.
Andre Pollard.
Yeah.
He's the 10 for every other nation he plays for.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not Scotland.
Yeah, even Manny Lebok, Damien Willemse, like these guys, like they start for every other country, right?
Yeah. So you're like there isn't like I can't even name a Springbok player that wouldn't be the starting of any other nation.
No, you're right.
I can't think of anyone.
Yeah, you're right.
Like I can't think of any. I can't even think like even.
I think that we were just talking about this before we started, right? We were saying that if a Wales guy starts over a South African guy in that team, and I said Jack Morgan, who was outstanding in a losing side, I think he's probably better than Lowe, the South African flanker, right? Mm-hmm. And I stand by that. I think that's true. And I think Dewi Lake probably better than Grobler.
What an awful last name.
I think if you say it in Afrikaans, maybe it sounds better than the way I'm fucking saying it. But you know what I mean? Like, two guys at a push, and Dewi likes pushing it because Grobbelaar's pretty fucking good as well.
And he's not even their first choice.
Right.
He's third choice.
Right. You bring Malcolm Marx into the question. Oh, sorry, Dewi. Like, you're good, but
you're not.
This
You're
guy's
picking
way
Malcolm
better
Marx.
experience. This guy's too
Mumba Nambi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're picking Mumba Nambi.
Yeah, of course you are.
Right?
But it's easy to be good in a good team, so that Jack Morgan and Dewi Lake get mentioned is great because it's hard to play in a losing team, isn't it? Like, it's hard to make as many tackles as Jack Morgan did when you're getting your ass kicked, and he fucking did it. So
he
what a warrior.
also, to like kind of discredit his tackle count, he had a lot more opportunities to make tackles because
they were coming at him thick and fast.
Yeah, he had to make a lot of tackles.
Yeah.
So there was a ton of opportunities for tackling in that game. Because they were fucking like on the back foot almost that whole game.
Yeah, I got to mention one more, guys. I thought James Botham, when he scored his try, was excellent, and he was a warrior all game. So there's good guys in our team, but South Africa, you're right. Like, they're just there isn't a bad player there, is there?
So New Zealand beat Italy 29-11. The score line looks pretty like a decisive win. Yeah, like a good win,
and it was.
But
they made him work for it.
The New Zealand media, already the articles I've seen, they're already in a meltdown.
Yeah.
How can you only score 29 points against Italy? Like,
they were expecting better, and you're worse. That's literally the truth of it.
They were expecting a fucking complete blowout. Of this game.
Yeah. I mean, they've learned what we've learned. You don't go to Italy for a fucking 50-point jolly anymore. Nobody does that anymore. Right, Italy are better, and you are worse. You're not as good as you're very fucking good, but in New Zealand you're not as good as you used to be, and it's time you fucking no. They shouldn't accept that because they should have high standards. So their media can lose its mind, but this is the reality.
That was the best part of this week because I saw this. I didn't even watch this game. I didn't even watch it. Didn't bother.
Yeah,
I was like, I saw that. I was like, New Zealand's gonna win this.
Yeah,
hands down.
Yeah,
right. They're just a better team.
Yeah,
right. But that score line, when I saw the score line, any other team that would have been like, okay, right? Yeah. Because they beat, didn't they beat? I think they beat Ireland like 29 or 27 to like 13 or something.
It was comparable. Yeah. It's a comparable scoreline. Yeah.
So that was a good win, right, for them. But this one, they were just like expecting, like a blowout.
New Zealand aren't happy unless they can all blow their load at like a 50-point blowout. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh fuck yeah, look at these tries, and it's like they've been blue balled all autumn. Like they've won every single game, and they're going home like this is a disaster. Caleb Clark should have 50 fucking tries.
Yeah, if there's not a 10-try game, it's just not a game.
No.
Right? Like, how can they only score 8?
They love just clobbering teams, don't they? And they just miss a good old clobbering. You know?
Yeah,
they're missing it.
There's really nothing really to say about this game.
I don't know.
Good on Italy for putting up a fight.
Yeah.
Maybe I guarantee you, the All Blacks just underestimated them.
They looked like they.
Did you watch any of this game?
I watched about the second half on DAZN, and they looked like they'd done enough to win, so that they slowed down. But Italy made them work, man. Italy were not falling off tackles. The old Italy team gave up about 60 minutes, right? Predictably. 2 years ago and everything before that, about 60 minutes, even if it was close, Italy would just go, okay, that's us done. That's enough. But like Italy don't go away anymore. And New Zealand team kind of
step up. Their step up is they can play 80
minutes.
They can
play 80 minutes. It's true, yeah, right? But a lot of teams still can't, right? Like
they'll still lose, but they'll play 80 minutes now.
Right. But still for a lot of teams that's still the case. And Italy have learned to play a full 80. They made New Zealand work for it. And New Zealand were kind of like, hey guys, aren't you supposed to give up now? Like we're supposed to run in 10 tries, and Italy were like, no, that's the old Italy, So New Zealand have learned that now. They won't underestimate him again. But still for Italy, they've come a long way. But the day they beat New Zealand is a day I'd be surprised, So I don't know. They're better.
Scotland, Australia. This is the game we just finished watching.
Yeah, it is.
And it was a great game.
It was actually fun.
It was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it was actually the best game of the weekend. Yeah, I think it was the best game of the weekend.
Oh, no. Wales, South Africa was hands down.
Yeah, I know you're trolling me, so I'm just going to ignore you. But
yeah, Scotland. What kind of stories come out of this game?
I think I said this last weekend. This is my game of the weekend because it's the litmus test for Australia. Are they is this comeback like, are they actually tier 1? Are they sort of top 5? No, they're not. Suaalii going off really took away their kind of X factor. But Scotland just showed if you want to play at the top of the table, you have to control the game. And that's what Scotland did, right? They just controlled the game better. They played in the area of the field they wanted to play in. They stopped Australia having enough possession, you know?
What was surprising for me with Scotland is usually they play a hard first half, and then they start fading.
Yeah, it was the opposite.
And they actually got better and better as the game went on.
Yeah. This is actually maybe a good sign for Scotland, because what I've been saying about them is they can't win big games. Like, look at the World Cup. Everyone was like, oh, this is Scotland. Yeah, they're in a tough group, but they can dine with Ireland and South Africa. Ireland, South Africa. No, you fucking can't. Get back in your box. Totally shut them down. Scotland is starting to show glimmers of game management. Like, you are right. They come out the gates hot, score 3 quick tries, and then just fucking disappear. Maybe we're starting to see a smarter Scotland, because that's what they need to be in the Six Nations. Because I think still for me
I would say this was even a harder Scotland too.
Yeah.
Because they looked hard.
They did. They looked physical, didn't they? Yeah. Dominant tackles, really up for it in the breakdown. Yeah, 100%. And a couple of those turnovers were very like, you know, done on willpower and brute strength, you know? So
it's like anytime, like it felt like they had the ball the whole game.
The possession stats.
What are the possession stats?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 70-ish to
must
Scotland.
have been something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because
can you edit it out us very quickly Googling the possession stats?
Last 10 minutes, possession 97. It says here 50-50 on Rugby Pass.
Oh.
It felt like Scotland always had the ball.
And it felt like Australia never did their thing of putting loads of sexy phases together, right?
Yeah, there was just like they couldn't get anything together.
No, they couldn't, could they? And they made mistakes, but so did Scotland.
It felt like Scotland was just like all over them though.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? It did.
And you know what? You know, in this game too, what I saw in this game, which I criticized Wales about in the last game.
Yeah.
The Scottish desperation.
Yeah.
They were desperate. They were desperate to do things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wales are kind of like jaunting around, taking their fucking time to get the line out. It's like, you guys are behind. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? These guys were just like, go. Their fitness looked really well.
It did. They looked crisp. And Tui Pilotu led that, didn't he? He was just fucking everywhere.
He is incredible. He's got to be the player of the Autumn Nations.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
Yeah.
Fuck, he does everything right.
He does. And if you were asking me to pick like a Lions 15, he wouldn't have really been on my radar. Maybe he should have been last year, but now he's like he's immediately the first
hands down starting
first center I pick. You know,
hands down.
Yeah,
hands down. He's already on the plane.
Yeah.
They already bought him tickets.
Yeah. Barring injury, he's going right.
Yeah, his jersey's already made.
Yeah,
they already have put wherever their locker room is. Mm-hmm. His sign is already there. He is fucking locked in.
Yeah,
hardcore.
Yeah.
Also, huge step up in this game too, because I judge him a lot.
Yeah.
Fynn Russell.
Yeah.
Fuck.
He played well, didn't he?
Oh, man, he is fucking like I judge him a lot because I think he like kind of like doesn't step up when it gets to the international stage.
Yeah.
But fuck, man.
Yeah.
He
was up for it today, wasn't he? Yeah, he was. I think what people don't see as well is the power required for some of those passes he makes. Because you remember Owen Farrell, he would fire a fucking bullet from the middle of the field to the wing, skip 3 guys, and it would be like, fuck, that was a powerful pass. And Fynn Russell looks so lackadaisical. He'll float these passes, but then you zoom in and like slow motion it, like that fucking strength to fire that pass across 3 guys into space.
With those arms, too.
And with that brain to see that space, right?
Yeah.
And with his little noodle arms, so he's got everything you need. He's not some pizza eating beer belly guy. Like, he's a fucking good, really fucking good rugby player, you know?
And he's physical too.
Yeah, he's a hard bastard.
Got the body type of a software engineer. He can play hard.
He can. Yeah.
He plays really hard.
That guy takes a lot of late hits as well.
He does.
Because he plays close to that. He doesn't seem bothered. Like, he gets put on his ass like after every pass almost. He just gets up, laughs, like, ha, ha, smashes a can of Monster and gets straight back into it. Like,
that's in his water bottle.
Yeah.
He had a special one. It's just labeled Fynn Russell.
Finn's Power Juice.
And
Do
it's
not
just
touch.
fucking Monster Energy drink. Yeah. Shouldn't you drink some water? Yeah. Water's for the weak.
Yeah. Don't touch my ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I really there's no way he hits the gym session. He must have like an excuse every time.
I think he has to, right?
Every time there's a gym session, he probably has some sort of excuse.
Written by his mum. Fynn cannot do gym today. His knee is too sore.
Yeah, some kind of bullshit excuse so he can go try on t-shirts at Gucci or some shit.
Fynn, this is your handwriting. No, it's my mum's. Shut up.
Yeah. Like he's just like fucking 100% because because he does not look like a rugby player.
Or he does everything that's required for him and is like, Finn, you've got to eat proteins. Nah, man, I'm having a monster. Shut up. Like,
just watch. We like look him up. He's just a destroyer in the gym.
Yeah, his stats are unreal.
Yeah, his stats are unreal. His lift numbers are fucking out of this world. Like, holy shit, he can bench that much. Like,
doesn't drink at all. Like,
no, he's just like only eat clean. Like, you know.
He's just a cheeky boy, isn't he? He's just a cheeky boy.
Yeah, but I think that's again, I kind of think this game, because of where Australia are, I just don't know where these teams are at.
I think this was actually I disagree. I think this shows me exactly where this shows me Australia are much better than we thought they would be, but they're not good enough to beat Ireland, France,
but
South
are they
Africa,
better, or like Scotland really, really good now?
I think Scotland are developing a game management strategy because they've got the attack and they know what they need to do is manage a game for a full 80 minutes to beat really good teams. And I think that's what I saw there was a really good game management as well as a great attack because they made plenty of mistakes. That first 20 minutes was pretty error-strewn and I thought, come on, Scotland, like get your shit together. But they did. They controlled that game. And like you said, by the end, it was comfortable. They were just running in tries, weren't they? I'd be a bit annoyed by the way they got that enough distance to be like, okay, we've won this, and kind of let Australia back in a bit. That was a bit annoying. But
yeah, they did kind of drop the ball a bit in the last like 10 minutes there.
So if I was Steve Tandy, the defense coach, I'd be a bit like, fuck's sake, guys, like you do not switch off.
Talking about defense coaches, like what is going on with the Wallabies?
That is their weakness,
like,
isn't it?
Fuck. Like you have one of the most like threatening 10s in the world you're playing against, and you're just giving all this time.
Yeah, so much time on the ball for
Why would you give this player like they're just standing there waiting.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like they're just standing there waiting for Fynn Russell to do something and then they react.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm looking at it here. Defense, Australia, tackles made 125, kind of normal. Tackles missed 34 to Scotland's 14. And then you look at the percentages. Tackle completion rate, Australia 79%, Scotland 90%. You don't win games by making 79% of your tackles. And that has to be something to do with that defensive system.
The Wallabies play rugby how I think the outcome of a Super Rugby, like how am I going to put this in words? You know how I judge Super Rugby?
Yeah.
And the way I think these Southern Hemispheres are going to teams are going to play.
Prioritize attack over defense, right?
Yeah, and then the shitty defense, right?
Don't worry, we'll get one back, sort of thing.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, not prepared for the physicality in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
But then the All Blacks show up, and they're a completely different team.
Yeah.
Right? They will stop anything that comes in front of them.
Yeah.
Right? The Wallabies play the way that I think they should be playing because of Super Rugby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
It's almost like it's a product of Super Rugby. But then I can't really use that because the All Blacks...
Even Fiji defended pretty well. Even Fiji defend aggressively. It's just a style of defense, isn't it? Like, it's not... Everyone's so used to rush blitz defense. Theirs is more like a pressure absorption drift defense.
Which I'm
and it just looks weird.
That you think that Joe Schmidt is always like a head... Like, he's a very smart coach.
Yeah.
I
think for me, what he's trying to do is just have a system in place that they can go to. Because you can't, what you want to do ideally is be like, these guys play like this is how we defend today. But because they're in such a new, uncertain time and team with a new coach, you need to put a system in place and be like, you might not like it, guys, but we're sticking to this. And it might not work every time, but this will be our go-to. And we build on that so that when we play an opponent, we know we'll attack like this. At least we know our go-to if things go to shit. And I think that's what they're doing right now is just... Like I said to you before, Joe Schmidt is a check-the-box guy, right? This week, this is what we're good at. And then next week, we'll still be good at that. And then next week, we work on this. So eventually, he's got a full checklist of a full team. But right now, he's in the phase of, this week, it's line-out. We'd be good at line-out. And he has to do it methodically. That's the kind of guy he is. So give it 6 months, and you could be like, Australia's defense is all of a sudden working the way they want it to. But right now, you're right, it looks like a fucking Super Rugby defense. Because that's what they know how to do, right? But I don't know, I'm speculating.
It's just surprising.
It is.
All right, let's talk about the last game here.
Okay.
England beat Japan 59-14.
The red, white flag teams.
Yeah.
Final
yeah.
Sugoi Nihon.
I know that Eddie Jones's job is not under threat at all.
He doesn't even bother to show up the game. That's what I heard. Doesn't even bother. No, I think he was sick or something for media duties.
He is. It's just. I've never seen like a like. I thought Australia, his like stint with Australia was a one-off, like the destruction of like the national team that he did. He goes to Japan and he literally makes them worse.
Yeah, or just continues their mediocrity. What do you expect from Japan? I really don't know where they should be.
You think since they have like a ton of the best players in the world playing in the league, their players are playing against these guys.
Yeah,
you're expecting something more.
That would drag. Yeah, you're right there. The country with one of the richest, biggest professional leagues in the world.
Yes.
And none of the benefits of that. It's like the opposite would be Argentina, where they have 0 professional teams and they're punching well above their weight. Japan at this stage are running out of rope, aren't they? It's like you guys literally have one of the best rugby setups in the world at club level. And it's giving you
like
no benefit.
The best players in the world want to play there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And like, so you think that having, and you see, when you see the whole Japanese rugby system, like their university rugby is awesome.
Yeah.
Their schoolboy rugby is great.
Yeah.
Right? Like these kids are getting developed like right from an early age. Like they have all these systems in place.
Yeah.
But these players aren't, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know because Eddie Jones is there.
Yeah.
So I don't know the players enough. I don't know if he's I heard he's not picking the best of the best. You know, he's trying to do this thing where he's picking the youth to build them into the next. He's one of the coaches that are, in my eyes, if I'm going to have to speculate, he's one of those 4-year cycle coaches. So his whole plan is to build up for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Right? He'll sacrifice everything in between to make sure his team is ready for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you got to say, though, as much as he gets shit, and deservedly so, he's still the England coach with the highest win rate. To this day, right? It was like 75% or something like that. But then he went to Australia and he said, guys, we're not playing to win this World Cup. We're developing for the next one. And just like you said, right, he's preparing for a World Cup cycle. But if I'm a player in that team and I'm thinking, I might only get one chance to go to a World Cup.
He also destroyed some careers, like Michael Hooper,
right?
Quade Cooper.
Yeah, he ended guys'
like
careers.
Those are guys that should have been there.
Yeah, so he's definitely like out there and a maverick. But if you're gonna be that kind of guy who's like sacrificing X for the benefit of Y, you better have something to show for it. And right now he's basically got nothing to show for it. You know, they did okay in the Pacific, what do you call it, Pacific Nations Cup, but then they were beaten pretty comfortably by Fiji in the end. And as much as Fiji have incredible talent, they do not have the resources or setup that Japan have. So, like, come on, like, you're running out of rope, you know? This is kind of the same with the USA. And the USA have got some scalps, but, like, for all the fucking money and league you've got, you have to start showing some results. Otherwise, why is Eddie Jones getting employed, you know? But, yeah, it seems like it's too easy for him to just stay there, isn't it? They're like, yeah, you're fine. It's very Japanese. Like, we don't fire you. You just sit there and do your job forever, you know? So.
Well, I think we talked about everything we need to talk about today.
All right. But I'm running out of rope, apparently. That was my cute accent being hooked off.
And you're done.
Okay.
Well, friends, thank you for listening. Like and share the podcast. And give us an email. Follow us on Blue Sky.
Blue Sky. What's our handle?
Blue Sky. Friends of Rugby Blue Sky.
Is it Friends of Rugby?
Yeah, I'll put it in the description there.
Oh, we got a nice YouTube comment the other day. Someone said, very good. Can you please have timestamps? So I'm going to attempt to make timestamps.
All right. Well, good luck with that.
I don't fucking know what I'm doing. Yeah.
All right. Have a good one, folks.
Right.
Bye.